because it showed me the months that I was actually profitable and then months where maybe I slowed down or I made a lot of bad buys. It was just exactly what I needed to just wake me up and realize that, this is an actual business and you should treat it like an actual business. And I can't tell you for what reasons why I didn't. I mean, even in June 2022, I took it upon myself to file an LLC and I wasn't even taking the business seriously.
Hi, and welcome to Your Selling Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Kirk, aka Your Selling Guide. I'm a small town girl who took a big risk and quit a steady corporate desk job to travel the US in an RV. Along the way, I started selling on Amazon, grew a 7-figure business, visited all the lower 48 states, bought a farm, and today I am still doing what I love to do, selling on Amazon while helping other sellers do it too. Each week, I will share Amazon tips and tricks and bring in guests to share their stories, expertise, and tips on the platforms that they use. Think of this as a sit down with your Amazon bestie where you can learn, ask, start, and grow your online selling business. Welcome to Your Selling Pod. Hey crew, and welcome back. Today on the podcast, I'm super excited because I have fellow Amazon seller Danae Talerico, or as you might know her, Desert Reseller on Instagram. Danae is a Rottweiler mom. She is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, but I'm not going to tell her story. I'm going to let her do that. So let's jump in. Welcome, Danae, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I am so excited to have you on because I've been following you on Instagram and we were just like chatting about something, I don't know, responding to a story back and forth. And then I was like, hey, why don't you come on the podcast? Because that's literally how easy it is. I just want to get everyone's stories and you have such an interesting story. So why don't you start with how did you get into online selling and what was your background before that?
Yes. So actually, when you messaged me, I thought it was a scam because I did not think you were talking to me, little old me. But I'm so glad that it wasn't a scam. And actually, I think might be a little bit cliche for this time, but I got into selling on Amazon by an Instagram ad. Of all things, I don't know how, but Instagram algorithm gets you. And I kept seeing these ads for this course for this Amazon seller and didn't think anything of it, just kind of looked into it and I saw that it was a little bit pricey. It was about, I can't remember, it was $400 or $500 for the course. And so I immediately checked out of it and was like, I'm not paying that much money for this course that I don't really know anything about. And of course, Instagram ads kept getting me and they kept showing me that same girl in her course. And so just kept clicking out of it and was like, well, I'm a little bit interested because it's selling on Amazon, but I have sold on Mercari and Facebook Marketplace for years and years and years. I've sold my stuff, my family's stuff, like anything you can imagine, I've sold it on there. And so it kind of made sense for me to look into Amazon. But I thought, just right now, I don't have $500 to throw at this course. So maybe I'll wait or maybe they'll have a sale. Sure enough, they had a sale, of course. And it was, I believe, during Christmas or maybe it was for New Year's, but the course was about half off. So it was like $297 or something. And I thought, you know what, maybe I should just buy it because it's never going to be half off again. And so I don't know, something in the back of my mind just told me to buy it. And if I never looked at the course, then I would just be out that $297. And if I did end up looking at it, then, maybe it could be something great. And so I bought the course and didn't look at it for about 2 months, which I'm sure some people can relate because it was just complete fear of the unknown. And I hadn't even looked at the course yet. But I finally did look at the course and I took the course. It took me about like a week to get through it because I wasn't sitting there for hours on end looking at it. And it's a lot of information to take in, especially if you've never done anything like that. It's nothing like Mercari or Facebook Marketplace. And so I ended up finally taking the course. It was probably like early to mid February 2022. I finished it, and when I had to go to the grocery store or something, I would just scan here and there just to see, like, what is the rank? Does this item even come up? Like, what does it even say? I had no idea. I'm scanning in the seller app. I had no other softwares at that time. And I'll never forget it. And I've said it so many times before, but my first ever product that I bought, I can't remember the brand. I'm sure I could look it up if I needed to, but it was a baby carrier from TJ Maxx. I'll never forget that. I have no idea why I was ungated in baby or a baby carrier because I had never sold anything. So I thought it was so exciting. And I immediately bought the item and I sent it FBA because I knew nothing about FBM at that time. But I sent just that one product FBA.
Wow.
Now I would never do that because that's such a waste of shipping, but I didn't know anything. And I sent that item and it eventually got checked in, and it was probably like 2 weeks later, it sold. And I just happened to check on the seller app and it said I made a sale. And I think it was for like $60. Unfortunately, I bought that item for $40. So it wasn't a huge profit, if any, because I really had no idea what I was doing. And I was literally hooked the moment I saw that sale went through. And I didn't even get a return or anything. So I was ecstatic. And from there, I just started scanning more and more. And to be completely honest, I only scanned the clearance sections for majority of my selling journey because I was just so scared of scanning regular priced items. I had no idea where to look.
Yeah.
When you go into Walmart, they have 300 aisles or more. Where do you start? I wasn't even ungated in anything. I had no idea what to scan. So I literally only stuck to the clearance section for the longest time. And hey, you can find some really good stuff in there.
Yeah, that's a great strategy actually, because not only can you find a lot of stuff, but you just get you get all those aisles into one aisle. So it's kind of like you're able to micro down because it is a lot. I love that you just sent the one in because I think that's what everyone is scared of, is making mistakes. And
Mhm.
I don't even consider that a mistake, but you definitely learned from it because a lot of people hold on to stuff. Just like you were mentioning in their course, it took you a while. I was similar. I bought a course. I went through it so slowly, like way too slowly than was necessary, just because I was like, I'll get to it, also traveling and all that stuff. But once you do get that ball rolling and you see that it works, it's super addicting. So I don't think it was a mistake sending one in. I don't even think it was a mistake. Like, obviously, you look back and wish you would have done the course faster, but hey, you did it and you're off and rolling. And so there you go. Like, you're ready.
Exactly. And I want to be like as transparent as possible and just tell people, okay, well, my first box wasn't 50 items and I made, $100 profit. I honestly don't even know the profit on that one item because I didn't have seller board back then. So, I mean, I could have made $10, I could have made $5. I really don't know. But I think it was a good learning item. I've never sold an item like that again.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't even really scan them because one, you are usually gated. So it was totally just random.
Yeah.
And those bigger, like, Infantino or whatever, those bigger brands are sometimes gated unrestricted on Amazon. But it worked out. It was perfect timing for you.
Yeah. It was a great starter.
So you've done Facebook Marketplace, probably like I've done, where you're just like moving or getting rid of stuff. And then Mercari. Do you do any other online systems now or platforms?
I obviously do Facebook Marketplace and Mercari personally, and I actually do Poshmark as well personally. I tried Mercari for business because I know a lot of sellers that do eBay also sell on Mercari. I found that a bit hard for business. I feel like not many people are looking at used beauty items and whatnot. Maybe they are, and maybe I just can't find them. But I do sell on eBay as well. And in my bio, it says eBay newbie, but I'm not really a newbie anymore. I just don't know what to call it. In between new and a little bit seasoned. So
You're just an eBay seller. You're probably an expert. I think a lot of us, we are expert in our areas and we don't even think that we are.
yeah.
So I'm sure at this point you're on your way to being an expert because I could tell you, you know way more than I do because I don't really know anything about it. So
Yeah, I'm about say 7 months into eBay. But on eBay, I strictly only sell discontinued beauty products on there. I find
nice.
that to be the highest selling or highest profit on there. And I know I was listening, I told you the episode with Cynthia, and she sells like nothing but clothes on eBay, which is so interesting because I know a lot of other sellers that do that too. And I just cannot find any clothes worth selling. I don't like, I love clothes and everything in fashion, but when it comes to reselling those items, I'm just not sure what I'm looking for. Like what brands or what condition people are willing to buy. I don't know. But when it comes to discontinued beauty, like I can spot it.
That's awesome. I'm the same. I wouldn't know the first thing about what clothing. Mostly I want to get onto eBay to list the stuff that's just sitting here in my death pile, as we call them, that it's just piling up of stuff I can't sell on Amazon. So I need somewhere to sell it. I've tried listing some stuff on Posh. On Posh, I do my own stuff like you do. I'm not really doing anything for business except for some stuff that I've tried that I can't sell on Amazon, and it doesn't really sell. And I like my stuff to go fast because mostly I'm just cleaning out my bikini collection that I need to buy more and I need room. So that's really what I'm doing on there.
Yeah, and eBay is still like tough for me too. Actually right now I'm having like a dry spell, so to speak. Like my last sale was probably like 2 weeks ago, and I think I have 6 items still listed, and they're beauty items, of course. And I don't know, like people are maybe not buying right now, or I mean, I don't know. I had to, so you can like promote your items on there, meaning you give eBay a percentage to move it up in the way that customers will see it. So kind of like a rank. But of course, eBay gets a little cut for you doing that. And so I don't like to do that because I want to take all of the profit. I don't want to give eBay more than they're going to take already. But sometimes you have to just to get those items to sell. And so I've promoted about, I think, all of them right now, just so I can get them out and, and then of course, like use that money elsewhere or to buy new products. But so far it's not working right now.
So
But
when you're sourcing, are you sourcing specifically for eBay and specifically for Amazon, or do you kind of do them both? Do you cross list, I guess?
so I don't have like a cross list platform, so I do it all myself. Like I'm copying and pasting everything if I'm doing it on eBay. And I was doing it on Mercari, but I kind of stopped doing the business Mercari because it was hard. But I did have a couple things cross listed myself that I did on Amazon and eBay. They just happen to be on both. Just and as soon as I get a sale like on my phone, I will go and take off that listing.
Yeah.
I've never had that issue before, knock on wood. But But yeah, sometimes you have to cross list. I mean, if you're able to.
That's interesting. This morning I was in my shed, which is where everything is, and I was like, I have this one item that I have like hundreds of, or it's probably a couple hundred of them. That's a small thing. So it's a grocery item basically. So this morning I was like, okay, the price started tanking on the listings that I was. The reason I bought them is because they were flying off the shelf, FBM, and then the price started tanking. So I was like, okay, expiration date is coming up. So I'm literally on every single possible bundle listing of them. I have no idea if my inventory counts are right. So as soon as one starts to sell, I'm going to have to go up there and count and like make sure that I'm not overselling basically. The good thing is I can go get more of them if I really needed to, but I'm just trying to get rid of these ones that I made a bad buy on at this point that are sitting there.
Well, that's good to hear that bad buys are still happening, because I feel like that happens to me too often still these days. But
Oh,
what
yeah. There's 2 giant bags there's gotta be at least close to 200 of them. So I really need them to be gone, which is that's the same thing with Poshmark. When I need things to be gone, I start making all the crazy offers, just get them gone.
Oh, me too. I'm like, yes, if I can make, $5 on it, you can have it. Just get it out of my closet or whatever.
So you mentioned that, or you told me anyways before this, that you do KDP also, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. I am super interested to know what you are doing there and your strategy, or like whatever you want to share about it. But that's just super interesting to me.
Yeah, so I actually just started that. My idea is kind of just to have as many income streams as possible. And I had heard about KDP from the course that I took for Amazon. They also did KDP, or they said they did KDP. And that was the last that I heard of it. And then Instagram algorithm got me and started showing me ads. I should stop looking at these videos. But yeah, they showed me an ad on how to get started, and it was like super cheap, like mini crash course. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy this because I don't really know how to get started. And courses will save your life. It's just easy, like to the point. How do you do this? There you go. So I started doing that, and I have always been a creative person. So I thought, this could be really fun for me. And you work a lot with Canva. And so I'm very familiar with Canva. I've used it like quite a bit. And you basically like create all of your like book front, back, insides, like you can create it on Canva. And so I've been dabbling in that, and just I've made 3, I think, so far. I've made a journal and 2 notebooks, and it is not as easy as you think it is. You're like, oh, I just create a cover and a back cover, and you just put, the paper in it. Well, because it's all digital, so you're not making anything at home. It's just completely online. But it sounds easy, but you're basically constructing the book or notebook or whatever you're making from scratch. Like you're putting in every single page, however many pages you want. But of course, like you have to look up and research what is selling, like what category. It's kind of just like Amazon. Like you're not just going to sell, this chapstick that I have right here because you don't know anything about it. It's the same thing with KDP, is you have to do research, and they have softwares to do that. So I have some of those, and you have to look at, like, you kind of can just think of something like, say you like flower notebooks, say that's what you want to create. Well, you have to be a little bit more specific, and those softwares can tell you what kind of flower notebooks are selling and whatnot. And then you would put that in like your keywords and stuff. And that's how people would find your product. So it's not just like creating, it's also like the logistics into it. But so far, I like it. To be honest, I haven't checked it this week to see if I've like made a sale. Because oh my gosh, I've got like so many things going on, but I'm gonna check that today. But yeah, I have actually 3 different categories. So I've made 3 items and they're all different categories. I'm just kind of seeing what are people looking at, what are people wanting, but it can be easy. That's what they say. So I'm excited to see whenever that happens.
I like it because it's another income stream, and it's getting into, you know, you're creative. You're able to kind of fulfill that part of your personality and everything. So I think that's really interesting. I had no idea, because when I think about it, I'm thinking of like people are writing books. I didn't think about that part of it. I've heard of some people in the RV world. They do like little, you know, journals for exploring for kids and even coloring books and that kind of thing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't have to be blank inside. Like you said, it can be a coloring book or whatever you want to put in there. I'm guessing like people can make regular books too, but my books are blank inside because I don't know what to put in them. But if you're making a notebook, you would expect it to just have, you know, the lines inside. And so that's just what mine has.
There's nothing quite like that sound of a new order coming through on your Amazon account. But do you know how much you're actually making on those orders? Your Selling Podcast is excited to partner with Sellerboard. Sellerboard is an accurate profit analytics for Amazon sellers as well as eBay. With just a quick login to the app or your dashboard on a desktop, you can see what your true numbers are for all of your Amazon orders by the day, week, or month. I love to use it to forecast out how I'm going to do that month and use it for my planning. Sellerboard doesn't just tell you your profit, though. They actually do so much more. So if you're creating a private label listing or you're making your own bundles, you can use Sellerboard to get reviews for your product pages. Sellerboard is a robust profit analytics tool, and I use it every day in my Amazon business. You can try Sellerboard yourself, connect it to your Amazon or eBay accounts, and see how it works for you. Get 2 months free by going to yoursellingguide.com/sellerboardprofit. Again, that's yoursellingguide.com/sellerboardprofit. Try Sellerboard today and get the true profit picture of how your business is doing. So I know you mentioned like there was some of that fear when you first started and kind of just holding you back. Do you know, and I also think you said at one point you kind of, there was like a lull, like you weren't necessarily totally taking it serious and putting it like all of your effort. How did you kind of break through those fears?
I think everybody, even if they don't admit it, if you sell on Amazon, there's always a fear of, you know, not making any money or, you know, that, I don't know, maybe you can't find any products to sell. And so I have a unique situation that I'm in where when I found Amazon and I took the course and everything, I wasn't working like an actual job. I was able to stay home. And so I don't have any kids. I'm a stay-at-home dog mom before this. I kind of just went into Amazon like freely, not needing a side hustle like per se. And so I was basically just doing it for fun, because I genuinely love selling stuff, and that's why it interests me. I thought, you know, this is a weird way to sell stuff. So that's why I got into it. Unfortunately, you know, having that mindset where it wasn't like, I need this side hustle, I need to make this money, you know, right now. Unfortunately for me, I kind of treated it as just fun. And, you know, maybe some people do, but that led me to not taking it seriously. And so another thing is I didn't have like a set amount for the capital that I put in because I was taking it so freely. So I was just kind of putting in money like here and there, like basically whenever I found products, I would buy them. So I didn't have like a starting amount, like $1,000 or anything like that. I just at the time, there was not a chance that I was going to put in $1,000 to this thing, to be completely honest. I was just buying, like I said, clearance items, so they were pretty cheap, and I would just buy them when I could, or whenever I decided to go out and source. But because I didn't start off with it seriously, it kind of just let it keep going that way. I really did not take it seriously for like, oh gosh, like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 months, like, to be completely honest. And it's almost like embarrassing for me to say, but I started selling in March of 2022. And I did not take it seriously until like after my birthday, which is in October. So it was probably like the end of October or like the 1st of November. I had gotten Seller Board, which changed my entire life. Changed my entire business for sure. And when after everything connected with my Amazon seller platform, I got to see my actual profits, and that literally woke me up so fast. I cannot tell you how, I mean, it was so raw, but it was exactly what I needed. So I actually saw, like, I was making money actually starting Amazon, and I had no idea. And a lot of people may say, oh, well, you were naive, you weren't tracking it, whatever. And you know what? I wasn't. I totally wasn't, because I was just going into it like freely, like I said. So if I made a profit, I was not noticing, and I was just kind of letting it, go into my bank account, and then I was just buying items here and there, but it wasn't serious, like I said. So when I saw the actual numbers on Seller Board, yes, I had a heart attack. But it was probably the best heart attack that I could have had, because it showed me the months that I was actually profitable, and then months where maybe I slowed down or made a lot of bad buys. And it was just exactly what I needed to just wake me up and realize that, this is an actual business, and you should treat it like an actual business. And I can't tell you for what reasons why I didn't. I mean, even in June 2022, I took it upon myself to file an LLC, and I wasn't even taking the business seriously. So, I spent quite a few $100s, getting all of that stuff ready and whatnot, and making my business an actual business. And I wasn't even taking it seriously, but I felt like I needed one. Or maybe I knew that I was going to take it seriously one day and I needed this, but
That is interesting, because I was going to ask you, like, what made you change or take it more seriously, but not knowing your numbers or not really knowing if it's working. Either way, like if you saw, oh my gosh, this is not working and this is a weird hobby to have, or this is like working and now let's really make it work, because it's the same thing like when you saw your first sale, you're like, oh wow, this does work. So that is really interesting. I went I think 2 years. I knew I was making money because money was coming in, but I didn't really have any software to like really tell me. I didn't use Inventory Lab that way or anything. So same thing when I got Seller Board, it's super addicting. And then it's not fun seeing, like, this last couple of months, I've been losing money on some bad buys. That's not fun to see, but it is fun to see all those profits like make money and kind of cover that part.
exactly. And I was obviously getting, a check from Amazon in my bank account, but I wasn't really like recycling it, like using that profit to buy more, because I wasn't consistently sourcing. So I was kind of like, hey, I'm making a little bit of money and I don't really know what I'm doing, but it must be working a little bit.
So what did your life look like when you would be sourcing or Amazon? Like, what was your life like before, when you were just kind of doing this for fun, versus now that you are doing it as a business?
So before like I was taking it seriously, I was raised by my grandparents, and so they actually both have passed away now. And I was the executor to their estate, and I'm their grandchild. And they also have 3 children. They have 5 grandchildren, and I'm the oldest grandchild. So I happen to be the executor of their estate. So I had been taking care of all that. My grandma was the last to pass away in 2021. So I carried doing all of their estate into 2022. And so that's why I wasn't really taking it serious, because I just had so much other things on my plate besides trying to get into this new selling thing. But I knew that there was going to come a time when, I was going to have to go out into the workforce again or whatnot. And so I just kind of took some time to like get everything done and, everything signed with my lawyers and whatnot. And we had to sell her house. And so like all of that was on me. And so that's what I was doing like prior. That's kind of why I didn't like do the course right away. So that's kind of what I was doing. I was busy day to day though. And so I was still doing a lot of estate stuff till about like June 2022. And so I was already selling on Amazon at that time, but I was doing, like both. And that's the main reason why I wasn't taking it seriously, is just because I had a lot going on financially, but also like personally. I'm also grieving the loss of basically my mother, because my grandparents raised me, and taking care of, myself and my dog and my home and my husband and all of that. And that's not an excuse, of course, but
well, listen, I'm so sorry for your loss, first of all. And I can't even imagine, my family, no one is even dead yet, and there's already weirdness. So I can't even imagine like how the pressure, and I know you said you were young, like still in your 20s when all of this happened, to be that person. So I mean, you were handling life. Like you could only do what you could do.
I was surviving.
Yeah.
To put it nicely. But yeah, it was just a lot on me, just me. And of course, I have my husband there, and my younger brother was like a big help. But like everything that was signed and done was all by me. So I know that my grandparents are proud of me, and that was another kind of like trigger of like why I needed to take this seriously, is because I wanted to not only do it for myself, but I wanted to do it for them. I have always had this like interest deep inside of having my own business. And so I tried having my own business before. This isn't my first rodeo. I actually had an organizing business in, it was like 2020 to 2021. And it was a weird time because it was like the pandemic was still going on. And so I was a home organizer. And to be honest, like people were like, I don't want you in my home. So that was like a bad business idea at the time, because people were, still wearing masks and whatnot. And so like, yeah, no, like, of course, nobody's going to want you in their home. But I did have customers, but I think it was just a bad time. And also, I think where I live, my city is just not prepared for a business like that. Or maybe there's not a need for a business like that. So I kind of just chose to close it after I didn't have any customers for about like a month. So this Amazon is, of course, completely different, but owning my own business is not completely new. I didn't have an LLC for that business, so that part's new. But I always knew that I wanted to work for myself in some way or sense. I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I just didn't know how to get there until Instagram ads.
Nice. I'm very similar. I've known since I was younger. I mean, like we used to park cars. We have a big rodeo every year where I'm from in Oregon. And so we would park cars for that rodeo and everything. And I like even at one point bought cowboy hats from was it Oriental Trading, and like we sold those on the site. So I've always been like, trying to be some kind of entrepreneur. And so it's really it who would have thought that Amazon was the way, like just kind of like how you are.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
So I know what your first item you sold was. Do you have or have you had any exciting kind of chases where you scan something and you're like, no way, and like just going all over town to find it?
Yeah, so I was like thinking about this question and trying to see like was there an item, and and I remember it, and I actually still look for it, but
Oh, then you don't have to say what it is.
because like I swear this must have just been like a chance finding, because I found it in the clearance and they weren't expired or anything, but it was this poison ivy like cream. And I found it at Walmart and had no idea what it was or anything. And it was on sale. I'll never forget. It was on sale for $10. And I had scanned it, and they had, no joke, like 40 of them at this Walmart. And I just happened to scan it. There was dust all over the product. You could tell nobody has touched this thing in years. And it wasn't expired. I guess they have a long expiration date. And I will never forget when I scanned it. I literally like almost fell down in the store because they were going for $100.
Oh,
I
wow.
almost, I just could not believe it. And I of course clicked through because it said I wasn't ungated in it. And it said I was okay to sell. And I literally almost screamed. Yes, I mean, I was still kind of new to selling. So it was like a complete shock. And I had checked everything, checked the rank, and I checked Keepa because I had Keep at that time. And I was like, okay, like this looks like a good item. I'm just going to buy all of them. And I'm so glad that I did, because they sold the moment I sent them in and they became active. I could not believe it. And I still search for that item today, like just in case. I'm like, are you on sale? Are you not? And it's literally never been on sale since then. So I don't know how that happened. But the brand is Zanfell, if you want to look for it. They're still sold at Walmart, but I swear they're always like $40. And the price has significantly gone down. So they're not $100 anymore. But there must have been a shortage or something, and that's why the price was so high. But if you can find them on sale, they still make a profit. I sold a 2-pack. I found like one in the clearance again, like a few months ago, and it was making about like $20 profit. So, I mean, if you find them on clearance, definitely sell them. But it's, yeah, some like poison ivy cream. I don't know. I've never heard of it otherwise. But I did look at like every single Walmart in their clearance section after that, and I realized that Walmart clearance sections are never the same. So it wasn't, I don't know if it was necessarily a chase item because I didn't find any more, but I definitely wanted to find some more.
Yeah, that's how one of the very first things I sold was odor eaters, and it was the same thing. Like that store, for whatever reason, put it in the clearance, but on every other one. But luckily, those I could buy off the shelf price, and they still made money for a while until other people started selling them. And that was back in 2017, so that's not necessarily new that people, for whatever reason, want to drive the price down. I do like that. I forgot to mention this when we are talking about seller board, that you and I are similar on Instagram. We'll always show our profit and like our true numbers, because just being transparent, these people want to know if it works or not. And if they're not getting the full picture or the full like scope of both how much work it actually is and how much money you can really make at it. Because yes, you can make as much money as you want, but there's going to be a lot of work put into that. And it's not passive. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be that seller that's like profit transparent, because to be honest, like the orange bars, they mean nothing. And I'm going to get so much backlash for saying that, because people are like, orange bars don't mean anything. Yes, they mean something. Okay, yeah, they mean something. Maybe just to yourself, though. They don't mean profit. And I want to shout that from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Because if I knew that getting started, I would have had seller board the day I started. But I actually found out about seller board from you, and I'm pretty sure I used your code to get like the 2 months free or something.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to see what it was. And oh my gosh, like I can't live without seller board. I will not live without seller board, because I don't care what anybody says. Like, you can have Inventory Lab. Sure, I had it. I actually canceled it because I don't feel like it does me any justice. But Inventory Lab, of course, does not do the same thing as Seller
Yeah.
Board. They're two completely different softwares. Do I think that you need them both? No. I actually make my shipments in Amazon Seller Central. I know I'm like so old school on that, but I find it to be easier. And I have Seller Board for all my like profit revenue, and where I put like all my expenses and whatnot. So I don't need IL. Plus, the price is not worth it, in my opinion. Like the $70 a month, I can make my shipments for free in Amazon, and then I pay for Seller Board, which is $20. And to be honest, I don't care what anyone says, Seller Board is more accurate than IL. I will shout that to everybody because it's true. It is completely true. When you send in a box to to Amazon FBA, and whatever, however many products it has in there, well, when it's finally uploaded, it goes into Seller Board, and it will show you how much it cost for you to send each of those items. Does
Yep.
IL do that? No, it doesn't. No, it does not.
I haven't been able to find that out. I also don't. I use Inventory Lab for packing my shipments. And
Mhm.
other than that, I don't. And I'm the same as you because I didn't know how to use it to pack my shipments. So I did dabble in it and I quickly canceled it. And that was back when it was like $50 a month, because I was like, I don't see the point of it. And so I did all of my shipments straight in Amazon, same way. I'm like, it's free. Like, you can start this business and you can put as much money as you want or as little as money as you want, because you don't necessarily need anything. You can do it all in Amazon for free. I love Seller Board. Ever since I've started using it, I'm obsessed with it. And that's why I talk about it all the time. It's inexpensive in the grand scheme of everything you might need for your business. And they give you a super generous like 2-month trial. You could get away with 1 month and figure out that it's life changing, but they give you 2 months. So I think it's really awesome. And that's why, I mean, they are a sponsor, but you also hear me talk about it because I absolutely love it. Just, I mean, your testimony is amazing. Like, it literally helped you see the same as me. Like, I can see my numbers. And so when I see people who don't share their numbers, I mean, I don't know their reasoning behind it. I think some people out there who are trying to sell you a course or something maybe are showing their numbers are crazy to show you what you can do, but you don't know if they are just cutting even. Someone in the Bolo group recently posted that, as we were talking about something, and he was like, I know that there's people out there who just want to get free miles on their credit cards, so they'll sell on Amazon at break even just to get the points for travel. So there's all kinds of things people do. At the end of the day, if they're making real profit is what you want to know. If you're going to compare, you should never compare yourself, but if you're going to, don't compare your profit or your numbers to someone's gross numbers where you don't have the full picture of something. Like, it's just not going to do you any justice. So yeah.
I mean, sure, like if you had, say, like $1 million in sales last year, that is amazing. And I'm not trying to take that away from you. That is astronomical, but maybe you only made $10,000 on that. Like, that is just, it's not like bad or anything. It's just really telling. Like,
Right.
where did all of that money go? I want to know. And of course, like, you're never going to know. but I want, maybe you're overpaying or you lost a lot of money on your products or, like whatever. I want to know. I want to know how much profit you made on that. And I just think that profit transparency, even though I'm a smaller seller, I want to be transparent too and just, tell you guys that, oh, I made, $1,000 this month, or I made $4,000 this month. But then you also see like, how much did I even pay for those items?
Yep.
I'm sure you want to know. I'm working really hard on my profit. And so I'm really not taking anything that's less than $5. But before I was making maybe 10 cents, just to break even. But Seller Board will show me that. And you can see it day by day. You can look at it week by week. You can look at it month by month. And that is just so helpful when running an Amazon business. And they also connect with eBay. So I have my eBay linked on there as well.
Oh,
And
nice.
I just don't know what I would do without it. I am upset that I didn't have it for like more than half of my Amazon journey, because that would have really, really helped. Because before that, I had nothing, and Inventory Lab doesn't show you anything like that. You just see what your potential profit is after you send everything in. But you may change your prices after it's sent in. So then that number that they give you is not even accurate anymore.
I've never dug into the reporting. I've actually, when I've tried to dig into reporting, I actually combine the two from Seller Board and from Inventory Lab, because one doesn't have the same things as the other one. But I'm sure people are listening and are like, yeah, that's how you get to it. So you're more than welcome to comment where it is you get to that stuff. But we have used it and haven't figured it out because we love Seller Board because it's just easier.
I mean, it's also like so much more cost effective. I don't like to spend a bunch of money on all these softwares that I don't even use. So I have to have Seller Board, of course, and Keepa, of course. And I know some people use Seller Amp, and I've gone back and forth with them. I'll use it for like a while and then I'll cancel it, and then I'll use it for a while and then cancel it, because I just find that the Amazon Seller app, and everybody knows this, it's not accurate. The profit, like, of course, like it's not completely off or anything, but I use Seller Amp when I find a really good product, just to know like what is the profit difference on the Seller app versus there, to see if it's like way off, because sometimes the fees get messed up or they're not all there.
Yeah, that Amazon app is so glitchy. And I mean, as many people use it, they should really invest some more money into that. Like,
they should. I mean, with all the money that Amazon has,
yeah,
they should. But
what is a piece of advice that you would give to someone who is looking to start selling on any platform you can pick? Like, if you want to just whole scope or specific platform.
my number one advice would be take it seriously. If I could talk to my future, or I mean my past self, that's what I would say is take it seriously. If this is a business venture, if the word business is in that, then take it seriously, because no matter what the business is, small, big, a corporation, whatever, you should always take it seriously. Trust me, I kick myself for that all the time. But another thing that I wish I wouldn't have done was open a business credit card. And I think people would find that's really interesting. But as a new seller, I don't believe that you need one. And I'm just taking some advice that I recently saw by the other Alexa, she's from The Village. She just wrote like why you shouldn't have debt to your business, and I really appreciated reading about that. I wish I would have read that in March 2022, because I would have taken that advice with me. But I got a business credit card in June 22. Right after I got my LLC, I just was like, oh, I need a business credit card because I'm a business. And I think I was like naive about that because you don't need a credit card, at least starting out. You definitely don't. And I wish that I didn't have some debt to my business already, but I'm working through it. But that is one thing that I wish I wouldn't have done.
That I have before, when I started Amazon, I had gotten out of debt, I think for the second time because it's not good.
Mm.
Um, and like a massive amount of debt. And so I was super excited to be debt free. And so I wasn't even in my mind to use a credit card because I was like, I'm going to invest this cash I have and that'll be what I have. I did have separate banking, like checking and all that.
Mhm.
Um, but I always, whenever, especially a new seller asks about credit cards, I'm like, if you can't handle a credit card in your personal life, you definitely can't handle it in your business. And so I like my business credit cards. I've learned along the way and no longer in debt like that. So I pay them off every month. But that is absolutely a huge piece of advice that I want everyone listening to hear. Like, you should not think of it as a credit card that way. Just think of it as a source of income, but you have to pay that income back right away or as quick as you can. They can help you out, but they can also get you into a headache because, especially when you're learning, you don't know what you're doing. And so you might make bad buys that you're then going to have to pay for months later. And so I really like that tip a lot.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of sellers really promote like whatever credit card they're using and whatnot. And they're promoting it because, they're well into their business and it works for them and they get, all these points and referral credits and whatnot. But it's not for everybody. And if you're getting into selling, or maybe you're only a year or two into selling, I don't think you need a credit card. I'm 14 months into selling on Amazon, and that is probably like my number one thing is like I should not have got a business credit card because I didn't realize at the time that, the products that I say sold today, well, I'm not going to get that payment right away. And so it kind of just backs up, and it didn't make any sense for me until it was too late. When I had bought the products on the credit card, I was like making the payments, of course, but I'm not able to pay it off as quickly as I would want to when I could have just used my business debit. Of course, that's,
Yeah.
actual cash. But if it was any choice of mine, I would not have any debt to my business. But, just dealing with what I have right now.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I feel like we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to you and your story and your journey. Where can people find you? Are you out there on the social media?
Yeah, I only have Instagram, so I'm not on TikTok or anything like that. You can find me on my public one, which is my business one, which I changed my name to Desert Reseller because I am in New Mexico and it is the complete desert and I love to resell things. So you can find me on there. I almost have 600 followers. So thank you
Nice.
for following me.
I will link it so that we can get her some more followers. It's really, like I said, I enjoy following her because she's transparent in her numbers, and I just like following everyone like that. Like, it encourages you to get out there and source. That FOMO is real if you're not able to source one week and you see what everyone's doing.
Yeah.
So check it out at Desert Reseller. Thank you so much for coming on. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I enjoy all the podcasts, but I just enjoy where we find something we both relate to and just sit down and talk about it. I love it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is my little Amazon dream come true.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will be back next week with another episode. Please, if you are watching this on YouTube at Your Selling Podcast, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what questions you have, and Danae can also check in and answer them there. Or if you're listening, it's available wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you could please leave me a review of the podcast, let me know if you liked it. It would be a great help to me, so I so appreciate it. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, as always, you can email me at podcast@yoursellingguide.com. I really love these interviews, and honestly, every story is worth telling. So if you're sitting there thinking, hey, I would like to be on it, but my story, I mean, who am I? I'm pretty normal. Well, guess what? We all have a story to tell, and I want to chat with you. So until next week, happy sourcing.